rugby is, in this country, a 99% socially not so fortunate classes sport. If you think about the players at every single point of time as a federation, you can never go wrong. You might make less money, you might not have as many eyeballs. हिंदी में कहते हैं कि जो नियत सही है, अगर आपकी नियत सही हो, तो बाकी सब पटरी पे आ जाता है.
Rugby in India might be an unknown phenomenon, but its president is very well known. Rahul Bose, the actor that you may know for his very famous roles, is playing a catalyst in taking the sport to more people across the country. Bose himself played rugby parallelly for 11 years and has been associated with it for almost 4 decades. Now, in the role to lead the Indian Rugby and Football Union, the former athlete is up for the task.
So we asked ourselves, and we always ask ourselves before making a decision, what would I as a player want? Whether it is to choose where you're having the next national competition. We have Andre, who's another coach. So we have a South African setup, and South Africans are as good as any in the world, given their history and their proficiency in the sport. Then you say, okay, fine, we have a coaching unit. Now we need to have Indian coaches. Obviously, in the next 3 to 5 years, the goal is to have an Indian coaching setup. Why would we need to look elsewhere when we have a fantastic Indian coaching setup? So then you say, okay, where can we blood? Who can we blood out of India to become assistant coaches? And that process started 2 years ago itself. Then you ask yourself, okay, coaches done, assistant coaches done, next. SNC. It's very, very important, strength and conditioning. So let's provide them with the best strength and conditioning support that they could get. Is what are we doing about rehab? The first thing that players want in rugby is insurance. Without insurance, they really can't move forward. Now we look at the psychological part, mental conditioning, and it's micromanaging. It's not macromanaging. One size never fits all in this country. Yeah. And to pour into the ecosystem like this. And finally, payment to players. Are you going to professionalize this? So what's the first thing you can do? With these 150, 200 cohort of players who form your national ecosystem, your international probables and possibles.
Credits to his effort in many others, rugby since he played in the India's first ever international match to now has evolved a lot. However, the scenario of the game without any online or TV presence, lack of sponsors and others still remains a semi-professional setup.
Truth about an overwhelmingly rural sport like rugby in this country. Children can start playing from the age of 10 or 11. But by the time they're 14, there's pressure on them to work in the fields, to get married, ghar mein haath patao. This point of time, as a federation, what we want to do is we want to be able to put money in the hands of players. 1 lakh to each of these players. And so if you keep playing for your state, you will keep getting 1 lakh. That's 15 crores. It's 15 crores we don't have right. But isn't that a great aim to have?
Federation has tied up with the Odisha government and opened up KIIT as the home of Indian rugby. With the best of facilities, the actor had his share of acknowledgement with the stadium being named after him.
I don't even think I deserve it. Second of all, it's not what I was working towards. It's not how I do it. I've had 2 NGOs for 17 years and you don't know anything about IT. Now you've named the stadium after me. I'm going to pester you about the soil quality, about the grass quality, about the surroundings, about the seating for the spectators. You have now brought on a ton of problems for yourself.
Sport, as he mentions, is still limited to only 300 out of the 700 districts. Huge talent remains untapped with no major source of revenue. But for now, the plan for the future is right in place.
Whenever somebody is down, you should put your hand and lift them up. This idea, combined with the idea of moving forward together, are the 2 greatest ideas that this sport can give humanity. And it has now become our task, our passion and our pleasure to teach all our players these 2 qualities.